today I want to talk about how we can say yes to ourselves and how we might be saying no to ourselves without realizing it. When it comes to self-abandonment and relationships, the first point that I want to make is when you're saying yes to everybody else around you, you need to recognize that you're actually saying no to yourself. Why might that be? Let's think about some survival patterns that you might have learned. Now, when it comes to your childhood, maybe you experienced an environment like I did, where you had to make sure that people around you were feeling normal, balanced state of mind so that you could get your nurture. So what you learned, that to survive, what I learned, that to survive, I must make sure everyone else is happy. Because if I don't, my survival is threatened. Maybe you had a previous relationship where you felt threatened, maybe you felt stuck, maybe you couldn't leave. And what you had to do is almost fall in love with your perpetrator, like Stockholm Syndrome, and do what they're saying, make sure they're happy so that your safety is not threatened. It's a temporary pattern that got learned. And even after you left the relationship or you've grown up and you're not in childhood anymore, you're still displaying those patterns. That's when self-abandonment becomes such a big problem that you stop saying yes to yourself. You say yes to everybody else. The second point that I want to make is that recognize when you have weak boundaries. Boundaries are something we all have in relationships. And when we allow others to step over our boundaries and we don't stand up for ourselves, we don't defend ourselves, we're teaching them that our boundaries is not something that we honor and we cherish. But if you're truly honoring and cherishing who you are and you recognize your worth and your value, you demonstrate to yourself that I am worth standing up for. And if you don't do that, what you're going to demonstrate to yourself is I can't trust myself, I don't do what I say I will do, and therefore I need to rely on everybody else to make decisions for me. It makes you a weak decision maker, and it also leaves you in a disempowered state where you're not actually feeling responsible and accountable for your own life. The third point that I think is super important is not guilt, but growth. Often when we're standing up for ourselves, we're saying yes to us. There's a tendency to over-explain, justify, defend ourselves. That can lead to emotional exhaustion. Listen, we don't have to feel guilty standing up for ourselves. We don't owe somebody a long explanation for why our existence matters and why we're worthy. The only person who needs to understand it is yourself. This is the basis of self-trust. When you want to develop self-trust, the first step is recognizing where that self-abandonment is going on. Once you recognize it, then you will know how to move forward. So, what do you think, as a woman, for Women's Health Week, saying yes to you? What area in your life do you feel the hardest to say yes to yourself? I would love to know. For me, I'll share with you that since I started struggling with chronic pain issues, I would always make sure that everybody else is okay before I come home to myself and realize what sort of recovery I need. It was almost like I'm going out into the chaos of the world and then coming back, now I have to take a look at what wounds I need to dress this time. And it became such a terrible cycle that it didn't stop until I started getting the chronic pain issues, until I started realizing that saying yes to myself is important. I hope you found this video helpful, and let me know what you think is the most important issue when it comes to Women's Health Week that isn't being talked about right now. I really hope to see you in my next video. Until then, stay well. Bye.